Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Hi, Dad. This is Hunter. How are you? Oh, I'm fine, and I'm sober today. Hey, Dad, would you like to meet a new wealthy friend of mine? He's offered me a job for $83,000 a month. Great! Thanks, Dad. We'll keep this meeting unofficial. I'm sure it will help both of us. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America. Followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And good morning, good morning, good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell, sitting in the Zeb at the Ranch studio. And, of course, it is a Thursday, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with a great, clean environment, and, of course, the best in tires. And we also want to thank Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line, have a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast. And a little bit changed out there this morning. I stepped outside with a real light nylon windbreaker on and turned around and went and got something a little warmer. K&R Rental brings you the weather at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Yup, on the Burley-Paul Highway. They've got all the best of rental tools and equipment for you for both long and short-term use. They've got everything, and I do mean everything, and the knowledge to tell you what you're going to need for a various project. K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Feels like fall has definitely arrived, and it's going to be a beautiful day. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. A little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 10 miles an hour, looking at a high of 55. Tonight, areas of frost, mostly between 3 and 5 in the morning. Otherwise, mostly clear skies, low of about 31. Tomorrow, as we get ready for the weekend, sunny skies, high of 64 with an overnight low of 42. By Saturday, sunny in mid-60s, pretty much the same for Sunday. That's a look at your weather for us up at the ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Thank you. And the weather, of course, sponsored by K&R Rental. Good people over there on the Burley-Paul Highway. And believe me, if you're not sure what you need to have for tools or equipment, just call Roger. 678-3122. 678-3122. And then after you discuss it, go on by. They've got everything, like I said, at K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. You stop over and see them today. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I also want to acknowledge the fact that some other great people open the doors early in the morning. And that's, of course, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Oh, yeah, 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. And if the change in the weather has not got you yet to the point where you go, whoa, we're going to turn that furnace on pretty quick, they've got all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, all your furnace filters, everything. Please stop by at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley or give them a call, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning.
Good morning to you, Zeb, and your beautiful assistant.
She's no more than my assistant. She is my right arm. Thank you. Go ahead.
No, she is your everything.
Absolutely.
Why is the Democrats so insistent on just being ignorant? I mean, just downright ignorant. And if they don't get it their way, they keep on trying until they do.
Well, it's politics. You know that, Keith. You've been around the horn a couple of times, been to a couple county fairs and a hog calling contest. You know it's politics, and you know that both parties are guilty on various issues and extremes of using all they can to get notoriety and try to stop or slow down something. It's both parties. Politics is equal opportunity embarrassment for both the Republicans and the Democrats.
Okay, let's take, for instance, Senator Mike Lee from Utah. He came down with the COVID. Well, if you can't be there, you can't participate. But then there's Kamala Harris. As you noticed yesterday, she was doing it remotely, virtually, or whatever way you want to call it. From somewhere.
No, whoa, stop a minute. I am so glad you brought that up because I want to clarify about Kamala Harris. And I did some research on this and found out that she had complained and yelled and screamed and hollered and stammered and says, no, I'm not going to show up because of the COVID scare, etc. Well, wait right there. She was in her office and did this on a virtual computer interview with Amy Coney Barrett. But did you know that her office is just literally steps down the hallway away from the Senate hearing room? And they showed on video that she also, her being Kamala Harris, got into a crowded elevator with over 7 people. Now, really, Keith, isn't she a big phony?
What is she doing with an office, a federal office, when she is not an officer of the court?
Well, she's got an office just down the hall, and that's where she sat and did this virtual taping, or questioning, I should say, to Amy Coney Barrett. And honestly, Keith, I'm so fed up with the COVID. I'm so fed up with the scares. I'm so fed up with one party absolutely wanting to re-lock down America. I don't know about you, but I've just had it. I cannot wait for November 3rd. I cannot wait for November 4th to get on the air and say, we hope that with the mishandling of all the mail-in ballots, Donald Trump will be the next president for 4 more years. I don't know what your thoughts are, but those are mine.
Well, getting back to Kamala Harris, the terrible thing of it is when she wasn't shooting off her mouth to the public, she was probably on the phone campaigning.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The rest of these people can't campaign there. They have to stay right there.
Well, if you're looking to get a fight from me to where I would support Kamala Harris, you're barking up the wrong tree there, partner, because I can't stand the woman. I don't like her at all.
Well, you and I agree 100%.
All right, Keith. Hey, it's good to hear from you.
Star on my wall.
You put it up there and polish it. Thank you very much, Keith. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, buddy. Hey, caller, I'll be right there, I promise. I've got to tell everybody about Denny's restaurant. And it is a sweet, sweet job to tell everybody about Denny's restaurant. The food is delicious. The people are so nice. And you're going to enjoy it. Absolutely. Now, where are they located? They've got 2 locations. At 611 North Overland in Burley, and also 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. And I mean, when you go in there and pick up the menu, you've got to make a big, big decision, because everything looks great and is great. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all the desserts, anytime, all the time. Denny's restaurant. Oh, you get in there with your friends and family. It is America's Diner waiting to serve you. Denny's restaurant. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Caller, good morning.
Today we're having chicken salad sandwich wrapped in a tortilla and all of its means, including yummy dessert.
Now, you said a chicken salad sandwich that actually is wrapped in a tortilla? I've never heard of that before.
Well, I guess I shouldn't have said sandwich. Chicken salad wrapped in a tortilla.
You know, that sounds pretty doggone good.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
It does sound good, but you don't know exactly what the dessert is, do you, Joe?
No, I don't.
All right, well, we'll send everybody over to that chicken tortilla. Sounds pretty tasty. Thank you, Joe Taylor, on behalf of the Senior Citizen Center on Overland. God bless you, Joe. Thank you much.
Thank you much.
All right, sir. That does sound good. A chicken on a tortilla shell. Chicken salad. I like chicken salad. I really do. My mom used to make that every week. Calls are welcome, 436-2244. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to tell everybody about Dino's Septic Service. I'm telling you, don't wrinkle your nose. You don't have to go out and pump that septic tank. You don't have to go out and worry about that liquid waste removal. You don't have to worry about those sewer and sink drain lines that need to be cleaned. They'll take care of it. You bet they do. They have expanded their business. I mean, they literally almost cover all of southern Idaho. And all you need to do is call for fast, fair, friendly service. Dino Septic Service at Rupert, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638, and in Twin, 735-8281. And they'll pull in the yard with that great big truck that says, "Smells cargo on the way." Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning, Zeb.
Hello, Tony.
You know, Zeb, when I turn on the TV in the morning and I see Pelosi, Schumer, and Biden's picture, one thing comes to my mind. Larry, Curly, and Moe. And I'm telling you, these people are so stupid. They took an oath to protect and serve this country. And the only ones who are being protected is their personal fortunes that they're making there. And any rules that they make are for them personally, not for the country. And when I see what's going on with Judge Barrett, this is a disgrace.
The crossfire between the senators is going on now, where the Democrats are pointing their fingers at the Republicans, and the Republicans are just sitting back going, how could you be so stupid? And this is going to go on for a while, and I agree with you. You said it best, the three stooges, Larry, Curly, and Moe. But there's so many more to add to the fray. I mean, the dumbest, I got to tell you this, Tony, maybe you don't agree with me, but the most intelligence-deprived senator in the whole entirety of the United States Senate has got to be Hawaii's Mazie Hirono. That woman has got to have the least brain cells of anybody that I've ever seen in politics, and she proves it every time she's on camera.
Well, a lot of these people that gal you were just talking about has control over people that not very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
You know, and they're subject to falling prey to anybody that's got a good line of BS. And this is what it amounts to.
I honestly think that if it weren't for her being voted in for a political job, Mazie Hirono would probably be walking along a Hawaiian beach someplace picking up seashells to sell to Susie on the seashore, because she's not very bright.
Well, unfortunately, the Democratic Party is full of people who are not very bright. And as far as I'm concerned, the Democratic Party has fallen in with the Communist Party, and That's the only way I see.
No, I agree with you.
I see from the Democratic
No, I
Party.
totally agree with you. And I just hope the American public wakes up and smells the coffee on November 3rd, because I don't want to make any prediction that absolutely would come back to haunt me or put egg on my face. But I will tell you this, that I firmly believe, and this is not a prediction, that if the Democrats regain the power of the House and the Senate and the Oval Office, our country, the United States of America, will never, ever come back to the values that it once had.
There will be another revolution in this country. It took a revolution and blood to make it the best country in the world, and it may revolve right back to that again.
It could. It could. Tony, you and Mary, dear friends, God bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zach.
All right. Hey, don't forget the Bennett Boys Auction Service is going to have another ripping good sale coming up this Saturday at 11 o'clock over in Buell. Caller, I'll be right there. It's the Pat Pigeon Estate Sale. It's going to be at 1533 East, 4250 North, Applegate Retirement Estates off of Clear Lakes Road. Look for the signs, and don't forget to lunch by the Cook Shack. They'll have they'll have trailers and generators, shop tools, furniture, really nice leather recliners, lawn and garden items, all kinds of sporting and outdoor equipment. Ho, you'd better get there to the Pat Pigeon Estate Sale, 11 o'clock this Saturday. Managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service over in Buell. You better believe it. Look for the signs. Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. As a student of history, Zeb, the turn of the last century, especially 1913, we've been seeing this Marxist socialist movement, communist movement in this country for well over a century. And when they got the direct election of senators, the income tax amendment, tax-free foundations, and the Federal Reserve System all put in there. I mean, those were the foundation of where we are today. But they're out in the open for sure. But even the first Secretary General of the United Nations was Alger Hiss, and he came from the wear cell of the Ag Department in the 30s, and he was convicted as a communist spy, and because they wanted to subjugate the farmers and the ranchers, and unfortunately, they've largely succeeded in carrying out this. Now they're out in the open, and the game plan is right on the table for everybody to see, but we got the mainstream media in bed with the Democrats, Zeb, and it's really a tough situation.
Well, let me just
on deck and get hold of your friends in other states, and we just can't lose this republic to these criminals. They're all, I think, Satanists. When you kill a baby after it's born, that kind of mentality, and it's all Saul Alinsky stuff.
Well, hold on a second. Oh, whoa, Adrian, wait a minute. Let me have a chance to jump in the ball game and play with you. Number one, I agree with everything you've said. Number two, tonight's going to be an interesting night. Caller number two, if you're waiting, hold on, please. But tonight's going to be an interesting night as we have town hall gatherings for both Trump on NBC and Biden on ABC. And I'm wondering about the so-called questioner for the ABC Biden rally, or I should say town hall, if he's going to mention or ask Joe about his son Hunter and all the heck that's breaking loose over the emails and the computer. It's going to be interesting whether ABC News and George Stephanopoulos are going to come forth and be journalists and ask honest questions.
Zeb, I wouldn't put any money on that. They've totally ignored it. Social media, Facebook and Google, they've totally already censored all of that came out yesterday. And they've been in bed, the networks, ABC, George Stephanopoulos, was a good buddy with Hillary. and so they're going to protect them, and of course he won't get. He'll just get cotton ball questions. Biden will, and they're going to have him pumped up because he's running for Senate again.
Yeah, according to him. I got to run, Adrian. I've got another call waiting in the wings.
For the debate, but Trump is going to get the tough question.
I agree with that.
Yeah, you know what that part.
I got to run. I've got another call waiting in the wings, but I want to tell you, I think you're spot on. But I think when you compare,
we have to know that the Democrats are Satanists. They're following Saul Alinsky's book, Rules for Radicals, which he dedicated to Lucifer. So,
absolutely.
Anyway, we need to know who these people are, and I appreciate all your efforts. Then I hope Deanna's doing really well.
She is doing better. Thank you very much for your call, as always. I do appreciate it. Caller number 2, just hang on a second. I want to remind everybody, go vote. Go vote. We, the people, have the civic obligation to choose our leadership. Be sure and vote for the candidate of your choice on November 3rd. This message paid by the Re-elect District 27 Representative Fred Wood Committee, Steve Westfall, Treasurer. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good vote. Good morning. Hey, I do agree. Every vote counts. And like I've said before, if you've ever tried to sleep in a room with one mosquito, they can make a difference.
No, good analogy. Really good.
Yes. Hey, you know what's interesting is I'm seeing the left, the Democrats on this committee, saying we shouldn't be hearing this Amy Barrett for the Supreme Court. We should be taking care of the American citizens with a package bill. And my thought is, if these senators can only do one thing at a time, it is time that they be replaced because they are way overpaid.
How long have they had to finalize or critique or add to the COVID relief bill?
Probably on the second one, 3 months.
Okay, so why and how long has it taken for the hearing on Amy Coney Barrett?
3 days.
So basically what you're telling me is it doesn't make any sense at all that these senators, especially on the Democratic side, would be dumb enough, and they are, to come out and complain that they haven't had the chance to finalize the COVID relief fund bill.
Exactly. Exactly right. They think that we are stupid. They think the American people just hangs on every word they say. And yesterday I had my computer on C-SPAN so I could stop and check every once in a while, see what was going on. And unfortunately, every time I would take a break and come in and sit down at the computer, there was either Gobachar or Kamala or Hirona from Hawaii was talking, and I listened for about 5 minutes, and I walked away feeling dumber than it was when I sat down.
No. You should never feel that way. Let me tell you something. I am now your psychoanalyst. You should have felt like you were on top of the world, that your feet were treading upon clouds of great mentality stature because you're so much smarter than these people are.
How can people with, I don't know what their IQ is, but they act like they've got a low 2-digit IQ.
Did you hear, and I'm not making this up, and I hope you heard this story, that Mazie Hirono from Hawaii, on Tuesday, she chastised Amy Coney Barrett for using the phrase sexual preference. And she said, you can't say that. You can't say that. That's an outdated term, and you can't say that. And did you know that the Merriam-Webster dictionary had changed it to go in kind of coincide with the liberal democratic sexual preferences out of there because they use something else now for the LGBTAQRSTV, whatever it is? I mean, this is absolutely insane.
Yes, within 24 hours they changed it.
Yeah.
And does that tell you something about the Webster's Dictionary?
Well, it tells me
something about who is in bed with the left, the people that are trying to take this nation down to a third world country, so they could have their one world government.
What it tells me is that we are living in a society right now where values and family upbringing and right and wrong and the respect for the Ten Commandments has all been trashed by the left. And all they want is anything goes, and they want complete control over what I say, what I think, and what I do.
And where does that happen? What countries does that happen in?
Oh, gee, Doug, we always thought it was over in some bad dictatorship. But now, with the censorship of the Biden story, with old Hunter calling Dad up and saying, let's meet with Burisma, it's happening here.
Exactly. They're wanting us to be a communist nation, a socialist country. And that should scare every American who enjoys the freedom that America has to offer, that we have given a lot up with this COVID deal. This was a test run, I think, to see how much control they can have over the people.
And I want to say this, and I want to get your response. I honestly believe that a lot of politicians, a lot of governors, maybe including our own, were duped and kind of swept up in the moment of the COVID to the point where radicalism took over, lockdowns, shutdowns, don't do this, wear a mask, stay at home, lock the doors. I think that now looking back over their shoulder in the rear view mirror, they're finding out that, oops, we made a mistake.
Okay, here's a country, for instance, the left likes to bring up Sweden being a socialist country. Well, Sweden didn't lock down.
That's right.
They did not. They let their country go and let it continue. They just recommended you wash your hands, you use common sense.
Yep.
And they are not having a spike now, like Germany and France and England.
And us.
They are not having a second wave.
Well, we're going to have the governor on this morning at 10:30, and I know we're still in the stage 4, which I think should be lifted. This thing isn't going to go away. I mean, how many times do we have to get on the radio? And it's boring me at this point. How many times do we have to go on the radio and say, this is a virus? Viruses do not all of a sudden pack their suitcases and leave Dodge City never to return. Viruses are always going to be with us. We have to learn how to live with that virus. People are going to get sick, and very unfortunately, people are going to die. People in my age bracket are much more susceptible to having all the negativity from this virus. However, we've got to live. We can't live in a damn bubble.
Exactly. I mean, you take a look at the statistics on how many people die in America every year. And it's only gone up maybe 1,000 to 2,000 over the time period with this COVID.
Well, I can't live a life of fear. I mean, I hear, oh, don't do this. Oh, don't go there. Oh, don't touch that. Oh, put your mask on. Make sure it's a good mask. Make sure you're protected. Oh, stay at home. Don't do this. Have somebody else gather up your groceries, etc. Doug, I've had it.
Yes. And also, too, who can rationalize is an essential business and is not?
Don't go there. Don't go there. That's a fight for me.
Well, when you can open a liquor store and keep it open all the time, but you can't go to church.
And I maintain, and I'm going to come right out and say this again, and to all the pastors, church leaders, everything, don't listen to these absolute horrendous, oh, you can only have 25 congregate members in a church. Oh, well, you can't do this. Oh, well, you can't do that. Do it. I am not going to have somebody tell me I can't worship my Lord.
Exactly. And when they start doing that, they're stepping on your rights, and that's
right.
the time to take the rights away from
That's
the government.
right. I've had it with it, and I know a lot of people are mad at me for saying all I've said this morning about COVID, but I don't care. Doug, thank you very much.
Okay, I got 2 thoughts for the day.
Uh-oh, look out.
This one comes from a real nice, smart gentleman that I admire. We've been conditioned to think that only politicians can solve our problems.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, maybe we will wake up and recognize that it was the politicians who created our problem. Dr. Ben Carson.
That goes without saying, and that is a long laundry list of things you could add on to it. Let me tell you that.
Exactly. Everybody, take care of our senior centers. Go eat there and leave with a full tummy and a full heart.
There you go, buddy. Thank you very much.
God bless.
Don't forget our friends, and they've been on the program many times with us, Barry Equipment and Rental Sales, Service, and Parts. And when you need equipment to do a job, like maybe lifting or digging or pushing or carrying or grading or leveling, whoa, they got the dudes that can handle that. They've got all the different sizes of the Bobcats. Yes, they do. They've got all the trenchers, all the scissor lifts. They've got all the the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. Oh, yeah. At great lease rates and financing rates. So get a hold of them today. Barry Equipment and Rental, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. They are good. You get a hold of them. They'll even teach you how to run the equipment at Barry Equipment and Rental. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You can't make this story up. And we're going to be hearing a lot more of it. And you're going to hear a disavowalment of any credibility of this story by the Bidens. I'm sure that they have their staff working right now with pencils that need to be sharpened every 30 seconds, coming up with this is what really happened, and don't listen to this garbage, or that's completely false, or this was made up. It's going to get worse. But here's what we know. The New York Post came out with a story that absolutely ties Hunter Biden into soliciting his father, Joe Biden, into agreeing to come to a meeting with Burisma oil executive, and then all of a sudden funny things happen. Hunter was getting $83,000 per month. And Hunter, and I'm not saying anything out of school, I'm telling you the truth, is a drug addict and has had a lot of problems with alcohol. And he was kicked out of the military. And he's had a lot of personal problems in his life. And all of a sudden, this guy is an oil know-it-all, and is hired by Burisma for $83,000 a month. So it's really kind of funny that when Hunter decided on one day, I guess, to take his laptop computers into a fix-it store in Delaware, and he never went back and picked up the computers. So after a period of time, as the story has been given to me, and I'm sure you've probably heard it too, you won't hear it on a lot of the major media because they're covering up for the Bidens. After the computers had not been picked up for quite some time, the store owner and the repair expert opened up the laptop to get a name so that he could contact this person and let him know that his computers were all finished and working. Well, lo and behold, they find all kinds of information on these computers, pictures and videos, salacious videos, and various things in the sundry items from Burisma, etc. So the store owner contacted some people. Hold on, caller, I'll be right there. And he said, I want to do the right thing. What do I do? And eventually it ends up with the lawyer that works for and with Rudy Giuliani. And they are looking at these videos, pictures, and everything on there, over 10,000 emails. And the store owner is fearful for his life. But what's interesting about this whole thing, it's been disavowed by Joe Biden. He said, never happened. I don't know anything about my son's business. And since this story came out in the New York Post yesterday, Twitter and Facebook have censored all the accounts that are trying to promote this story. Censor. In this, a free society of the great United States of America. And one has to put the thumb underneath your jaw and your forefinger up on the side of your face and go, Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, they turned them tapes over to the FBI. How come the FBI didn't do anything with them? We can get a rumor, a lie, an absolute lie about President Trump, and they're all over it. They're going to impeach him. They're going to prosecute him. They're going to put him in jail forever. He's in trouble all the time because of rumors. And we can do something like this with Biden, a horrible Democrat. And I want to use that word horrible because that's what they are to me, horrible people. All they do is want murder. They want to destroy our country. Communism, socialism, things that are absolutely un-American. It makes no sense that we can be that lopsided in taking care of our people.
I can't argue with you. I mean, what's there to argue about? I mean, when this was turned over to the FBI and basically nothing was done, it was shined over, and it tells me about the illegality and the fraudulent and the absolute lying activities of maybe all the way to the top, James Comey and others. I mean, it's obvious we got a problem.
You know, the same thing happened with Hillary. The same thing's happened with Obama. There's just one cover-up after the other. And we're taking our top police organization in this country that's doing these things. Why in the heck aren't we going after these crooks? Why aren't we shutting them down?
Jerry...
Why aren't we taking care of our country?
Jerry...
I want to know that.
I'd love to tell you.
Give me an answer that is logical to me.
Jerry, let me just jump in and tell you, you don't know the answer to that question. I don't know the answer to that question. The only people that can contribute an answer that's on a positive or negative note are the people that are investigating, or the people that they're investigating come forth with the honest information. How are we going to find out until we get a real good junkyard dog attorney or a legal faction that's going to go in there and study this and say, this is what happened? You and I don't know, but we deserve to know.
Well, there's a whole bunch of people that should be, without the shadow of a doubt, in jail.
I agree.
Being serving time for corruption, dishonesty, and rotten conduct.
I couldn't agree with you more.
This supposed new Supreme Court justice, to me, is an absolute disgrace to the world.
I agree.
They don't have anything to stand on. They go on hyperbole. It makes no sense.
Jerry, I always appreciate your call. God bless you, my dear friend. You sound better this morning. The best to your health. Thank you very much.
You bet. You have a wonderful day, and may the Lord bless you and all them young children that are out there listening.
All right, buddy. Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. You know, I got to say this before I go to the weather. I mean, laptop computers with emails and pictures and very salacious videos and email letters with the Burisma people, executives, and the corresponding emails coming back saying, yeah, we'd like to meet with your dad and all this kind of thing, and the censorship that's going on now with the news media trying to cover it up for the Bidens. I guarantee you tonight, I am not going to watch the Trump town hall. I am going to be glued to the town hall with Biden and the interviewer, George Stephanopoulos. What had better happen is that there absolutely needs to be questions about Hunter Biden, Burisma, Joe's involvement, etc. But I wonder if George Stephanopoulos and ABC News have the spine. Right now, let's go to the weather. And the weather is brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And these folks are so good. They are so professional, and they know all about hearing, and they know all about the different treatments to help you. All you got to do is call Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids and make an appointment today. They're right behind the Minidoka County Hospital, across from the emergency room, and they're in New Digs right now. They moved their office to a bigger location. You'll find them, no problem. All you need to do is call 312-0957, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Feels like fall has definitely arrived, and it's going to be a beautiful day. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. A little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 10 miles an hour, looking at a high of 55. Tonight, areas of frost, mostly between 3 and 5 in the morning. Otherwise, mostly clear skies, low of about 31. Tomorrow, as we get ready for the weekend, sunny skies, high of 64 with an overnight low of 42. By Saturday, sunny and mid-60s, pretty much the same for Sunday. That's a look at your weather for us, Evan.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. Hearing loss affects each person differently, and with all the technology they have at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, they can help you and your hearing problem. Call for an appointment today, 312-0957. Once again, 312-0957. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Joe Biden has constantly harped on the president presenting his taxes. You know, when we find out that Joe Biden has mansions, I mean, big homes and everything, and lots of assets and everything, I wonder if he paid the taxes on those.
You know,
or they're asking for Trump's tax returns. Why hasn't that come up in this election zone?
Well, wait a minute. You know, it goes, to me, taxes are minimal in this story. I couldn't care less, and I mean that. What I am concerned about, Keith, is that you had a sitting Vice President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, in the Obama administration. He was one heartbeat or stop of a heartbeat away from taking over the Oval Office. And when we find out that maybe there were some under-the-table shady dealings with Burisma Oil and executives and big bucks coming back possibly to that family through Hunter and also Joe, and this man, like I said, is one heartbeat away from the presidency. Don't tell me to worry just about taxes. I want to know what was a gimme or a gotcha that maybe he was leading our country into a major problem with another foreign nation or a foreign enterprise. It's really scary.
Well, why can't we get an interview with this prosecuting attorney that they just suddenly dismissed? Did they hush him up? Did they kill him? Never heard what happened.
Well, you know, and you and Jerry both said the same thing. Why? As if you're asking me, and there's no way I can answer that. All I'm saying is that the news media, and I mean this, I condemn and I damn CBS News, ABC News, NBC News, CNN News, MSNBC News, because they are all in the back pocket of liberals and the left in this country. And unless something drastically changes with the news media, I don't think the honesty and the integrity will ever come back to this country.
I don't either, but even though Fox kind of leans a little bit, they're the only salvation we've got.
Yeah, well, they were the only ones that brought out this story. They had the courage to put it out there that Hunter Biden called up his dad and says, Daddy, would you like to meet with a Burisma oil executive? And then they come out and they say, well, it wasn't on the official calendar. Well, Keith, you know as well as I do, I keep a day planner, but I don't put every meeting with every person that I happen to run into. And I think this whole thing needs to be investigated to the nth degree.
I do too, but how are we going to do it?
Well, we, the people, have got to start demanding. And really, I'm going to start doing more with politicians. Well, wait a minute. I'm going to start doing a lot more with politicians of holding their feet up to the fire. I hope they've got rubber soles. And finding out why we, the people, aren't being listened to, whether it's here in the state of Idaho over COVID-19 or whether it's a national issue. We're the ones that are supposed to be in charge, not them.
Absolutely true.
All right, my friend, got to run.
But I appreciate what you are doing. I know you can't fix this, but you can sure as heck be a part of doing it.
I can stir the water, and I plan to. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless you. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I'm coming back again because you said I was blaming you.
I did not say that, Jerry. Wait a minute. Jerry, I never said that you were...
We've got to start people thinking.
Jerry, I will not allow you to call me back and say you blamed me. I did not say that at all. You got the words misconstrued. I can't answer the questions is what I said. We've got to go to higher authority and use the news media. I never blamed you for anything because I agree with you.
Well, I agree. We both agree there. But somebody has to put this before the people. And my way of putting it before the people is calling you.
Absolutely.
And saying what I think.
I don't mind that at all, but I can't be the responsible party to come up with the answers. I'm only relating the news stories, and I'm going to keep delving into the facts. I never criticized you at all. Wait a minute. We can't talk over each other, Jerry. The thing I ask is that my listeners listen to what's being said. I admire you for what you said, and I've always said that on the air, and I'll let it go at that.
Okay, and I admire you, and I don't blame you. I never will blame you. This has to be brought out to the people of what's going on.
Absolutely.
Hopefully everybody out there sees that the problem is part of it, a big part of it, the FBI. The other part of it is the Democratic Party. They're both dishonest. They're both corrupt. And I have a hard time dealing with people that will not protect our people in this country and enforce our laws.
Absolutely. I have no argument with that whatsoever. It's just that right now the corrupt aspect of our society, whether it's the FBI, whether it's the CIA, whether it's the Democratic Party, or whether it's kind of a clandestine dark force behind closed doors that call themselves the deep state, we've got trouble that has to be cleaned up. And I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you.
And hopefully when the governor gets on, you let him know that there's a lot of dishonesty out there on the wrong side of the fence, and it needs to be cleaned up and taken care of.
I agree with that.
You don't need to be following their example.
All right, Jerry. Thank you very much. Appreciate your call back. Thank you.
You have a wonderful day, and again, may the Lord bless you.
All right, my friend. Thank you. I want to give a little shout-out right here to our major sponsor, our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Wow, they get there early in the morning and start serving all of us, whether it's with brand new tires. This is tire changing season, too. Got to get ready for whatever the weather throws at us and leaves sticking on the ground. around. And, of course, the best in brake service and front-end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. And, again, I stress batteries because, holy smokes, cold weather, that really takes a toll on those batteries. Check them out. James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, of course, the Twist family in Paul, and Trent, my buddy, on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, 30 seconds, and I'm going to have to run. Go.
Yeah, okay, Zeb. The grunts at the FBI, the guys that are out in the street doing the jobs, are not the problem. It's the upper echelon in the FBI, the glamour boys, just like the football players out there, are the root of the problem.
I have a tendency to absolutely stand behind you and say, yep, you got it. I agree with you, Tony. Thank you for your call back. And we've got to go from the top down, not the bottom up. I agree. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, sir. We're going to take a run to the news right now. I'll be back in about 7 minutes. You know, it's really a messed up world, isn't it? Oh, my goodness sakes. I said yesterday we need to get back to the basics and get back to the value system, and all of that means get back to God. And I had one caller call yesterday on my cell phone and totally disagree with me, but I pity that person. Anyway, welcome back to the hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch, and, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires in a very safe, clean environment. And also Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. I want to remind you about a dear friend, and his family and staff are so helpful and caring, and that's, of course, Hanson Mortuary with Joel Heward at 710 6th Street in Rupert. They have very flexible hours to serve you and your family when there's the passing of a loved one, and always providing the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. You know, they're committed to holding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity, and they want your expectations of a service to be met and exceeded at Hanson Mortuary. Don't forget, 710 6th Street in Rupert, number to call, 436-5636, and Joel also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home at East Main in Burley. Another quick reminder, and that's, of course, go vote. I mean, go vote. We, the people, have the civic obligation to choose our leadership. Be sure and vote for the candidate of your choice on November 3rd. This message paid by the Re-elect District 27 Representative Fred Wood Committee. Steve Westfall, Treasurer. Absolutely. One more note, and then we're going to listen to a lovely lady, and I want to talk a little bit about Denny's Restaurant. 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, desserts, anytime, all the time. Stop in, nice people, great atmosphere. Thomas has hit a home run with Denny's Restaurant. 2 locations, 611 North Overland in Burley and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. I urge you to stop in. You'll be thanking me if you do. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Right now, let's go to America's favorite president and CEO of the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce, and here she is in all of her regal glory, Penny Main.
Oh, my goodness gracious. What an intro. It's hard to live up to that every Thursday morning. I'm here to say, how are you doing today?
Well, you could always help the cause by reimbursement of monetary means.
Well, let's talk about that. How about that?
Okay. What's going on over at the Chamber?
And visit over that.
I will do that. I'll bring Deanne, and we'll all have a great big dinner of a peanut butter sandwich and chips on you.
Okay, speaking of that, your check is in the mail. That one check that I did owe you, I want you to know it's in the mail. You should be getting it this week, and that's for sure. Hey, it's great to talk to you, Zeb. It is a great day to be in business in Minnecasia, and we say that every week. And you were talking briefly about elections. Yes, it's so important to get out there and vote. That is for sure. We are working on electing 4 new members to our board of directors for 2021. We're excited about that. We have a great group of folks that are, vying for those 4 positions. So if you didn't get a ballot, please let us know today. We can email you one. Technically, the election process for us here at the Chamber will close tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock. So if you haven't received a ballot, give us a call, send me an email, president@minnecajuachamber.com, and we'll make sure you get a ballot so you have the right to vote. That is if you are, of course, a Chamber member. And again, as stated, yes, get out and vote. The Minidoka County Clerk's Office has a great piece of information on our Monday Motivator. We'll be pushing that out again actually today to update it. There's some great information there about voting and what that's going to look like. Speaking of what things look like, what will the future look like? Well, that's a good question. Our annual, our monthly Chamber Luncheon is held today at 12 noon. This was an RSVP event, and currently we are maxed out, so I apologize for that. We'd love to have you, but due to COVID, we've kind of reached our max on that event for today, but we're looking forward to that. A couple of people will be speaking. Doug Manning, again, economic developer for the city of Burley, as well as Leslie Garner, who is the chief financial officer for the city of Rupert. They're going to talk again, update us on, what growth looks like, development in Minidoka and Cache counties, and, see what's changed since COVID hit and how we're rebounding from that. So I think it's going to be a great session today during our Chamber Luncheon. And if you're a Chamber member, we'd love to have you. We try to do one every month as we kickstart 2020 again. We're trying to just, put together these events. But hopefully you can make it next month, and we'll keep you posted on that. A couple of other things, too. The snow, the mountain got some snow. Pomerelle got some snow last weekend, and so there's good news there, and they're ready to rock and roll for a great winter of skiing and snowboarding. There's some discount tickets still available. You can get a hold of Pomerelle, of course, or you can stop by Idaho Water Sports, and they have those discounted tickets for sale as well. And I believe that sale is up this weekend, if I want to remember correctly. A couple of other great things that are happening briefly. Minnecaja Paws and the Tatted Ninja Project have teamed up for a suicide prevention community project on October 24th. That's going to be at the skate park in Burley. Food, fun, amazing support, and some great speakers. A great time to introduce your family to lots of things that are happening with regard to Minnecaja Paws, and they do some great work with regard to suicide prevention. So the 24th will be a great day to get out and have some fun at the skate park and support a great community cause as well. Just a couple of other things. Again, if you don't receive our Monday Motivator, we'd really love to get you on the list. You don't have to be a Chamber member in order to receive it. Again, other reminders in this week's Motivator. This is an e-blast that we send out every Monday. More information from Minidoka County about RVing in this area. If you've got a recreational vehicle and you want to plant for the winter, especially in Minidoka County, they've got some great tips on how to do that and follow restrictions and mandates and rules and those kinds of things. Great program by Rupert Rec Basketball, VFW Bingo, again, Pomerelle Ski Swap, which is next weekend at Idaho Water Sports. So much more that we talk about in that Monday Motivator. Let's get you on our list. Just give us a call here. So our invitation is that you hook up with the best network around. We don't drop your calls here. At least we try not to. It's a Minnecaja Chamber of Commerce, and we're open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 typically, unless we're at an event. Make sure you check out our website at minnecajuachamber.com, or you can just give us a call here. Again, 679-4793. We'd love to have you.
Wow.
Period.
That was like hot butter on cornbread. Woo, that was smooth.
That sounds good.
Man.
I didn't have breakfast this morning either.
Well, it is time for you to shine, even though it's pitifully against the odds that you'll come up with the right answer on this trivia question.
Well, that's not a very supportive way to kind of roll into this. Pitifully, I mean, that's kind of, I mean, can't you come up with another word?
Sorrowful.
Pitifully?
Sorrowful.
Well, okay, that sounds better.
Okay.
Not much.
But this one, I'm going to give you the answer almost in the question, so you can't possibly let this one slide down the drain.
Yeah, well, okay.
Okay.
Let me have it.
Name...
Feeling great up until this moment.
I know.
Feeling great, just so you know.
Name the actor. Name the actor that was also a cowboy movie actor before he had a TV sitcom about 3 boys.
TV sitcom about 3 boys.
Name the actor that was also a cowboy movie actor before he had a TV sitcom about 3 boys.
I'm trying to go with the TV sitcom about 3 boys part of it.
Okay.
TV sitcom about 3 boys.
Yeah, and it's time to turn on the clock and go do 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 do.
No, I feel like I'm on the Wheel of Fortune. I'm not going to guess that phrase, Pat Sajak. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Dang it! And I was feeling so good up until that point.
You know what's going to happen? You're going to slap your leg with both hands and go, "Darn! I knew that." The television sitcom.
I say that every time.
I know, but the television sitcom, you've seen it 1,000 times, was My 3 Sons, starring Fred McMurray.
Fred McMurray. He was a TV cowboy?
Yep. Oh, a movie cowboy.
A movie cowboy.
Yeah.
I did not know that. My 3 Sons. My gosh. That was a long time ago, hon. That must have been way before I was born.
No.
Love you too.
Okay. Penny Main, CEO and president of the Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce, and I just love to paint you into a corner.
I know, and I'm in a corner every Thursday morning, and I have to fight my way out of it the whole day. You should be so proud of yourself.
Well, keep in mind, there's always another Thursday on the calendar.
I know. Hey, wishing you well. Say hi to Deanne. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, Penny.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Yep, Fred McMurray, and he was in some grade B or C or D or E or F Western movies, and also then took over the sitcom My 3 Sons. I got to tell everybody about Let's Ride. Get your motor running. Vroom, vroom. Let's head out into the hills, thanks to Let's Ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Yes, the number to call, 436-4771. And they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2. All the side-by-sides and the four-wheelers and, oh my goodness, all the accessories and a service department to keep you running. Let's Ride 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it's true, this is where the fun is sold. Real quick, too, over in that area, and I know I'm a little late. Nick's probably waiting on me. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. My goodness, the best. Best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. All of this and more for you, your family, and your business. And Todd and the rest of the crew are very responsive and dedicated to your needs. Call them for an appointment, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Right now, we're going to talk to the man that is in charge of not one but 2 wonderful locations serving your great health, and that's Nick Greenwell with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation and Elite Fitness at 1200 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Good morning, Nick.
How we doing, sir?
If I was any better, I couldn't stand it.
Well, that's good. Good for you.
What is, I don't know how you are so versatile in your time and on your day planner to spend time over here at Elite Fitness and then spend time running back over to Burley Physical Therapy. And then you got to take time to go fish.
Well, you can't miss out on that. Did get to go to Alaska and caught some nice fish this year, so it's a juggling act for sure.
What would you tell the audience right now? I mean, when the cold weather sets in, very unfortunately, we have to be cooped up indoors, and that means we don't get out and walk, and we're not doing anything physical outside. What would you tell people they better pay attention to, because the older we get, the easier it's to pile on the pounds?
Well, you hit it right on the head, and it's all about the WD-40, Zeb. I tell you what, the biggest thing that we need to do, especially during these times where it's starting to get cool, and we're, like you say, we're not going to be moving as much as we normally would, is just to do something to lubricate those joints, because it's a use it or lose it thing, unfortunately. And so any form of low-impact lubricating exercise is really what we're going for. And a big part of what we're doing over at Elite Fitness is to try and create programs and just access and availability for folks to even just stop in for 20 to 30 minutes if they can, a couple of times a week, or daily if you can, to just get on one of our pieces of equipment and move a little bit, so we don't stove up and get all tightened up throughout the winter. Interestingly, we had our phone call today, and I just realized as I'm looking at my planner on my calendar that we have been open for 1 year today at Elite Fitness over there, so we're excited about that anniversary.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I was singing happy birthday to you.
Well, I couldn't tell if you were singing or if there was like a dead cat being tortured over there or something. I don't know.
Well, I appreciate your kindness. Thank you very much. You sound like Callan when you say that. Hey, listen.
Like I say, this is a good time. We've got a lot of really good specials going on over there right now. We've done a lot, and like I say, it just really hit me this morning as I looked at my calendar that we've had that facility for a year, and we've really done a lot over there. If your listeners haven't been by recently since we've acquired the facility, I'd really encourage them to just stop in and just take a quick tour. We've got some really good staff members over there that are really involved and have a vested interest there, and they're really good about taking people through and asking them questions about, maybe what are their goals, if they have a particular goal, whether it's weight loss or just to keep your joints from freezing up or anything to move along. And they're, like I said, they're really good at addressing very individualized goals. We have awesome trainers over there now. We've got nutrition counselors and a huge variety of group fitness classes, from really high intense stuff to as easy as it gets to kind of help our older folks keep from falling and damaging themselves. So,
absolutely. I want to talk to you more about this. And Sean, I've got a little feedback on the line here with Nick, if you could help eradicate that. Nick, we have a call, I believe, with a question about Elite Fitness. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air.
Yeah, I was just wondering if he has anything to recommend to help lube your joints. That was all. I'll listen on the radio. Okay, bye.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've got tons of stuff over at Elite in particular to help to lubricate your joints. So our normal joint fluid is called hyaluronic acid, and it's something that unfortunately doesn't get released into our joints unless we're moving them. And so we have a huge variety of low-impact machinery over there, whether it's a recumbent bike or an upright bike or an elliptical machine or a treadmill or one of a variety of other kind of recumbent stepping machines and Stairmasters. Holy cow, we got a lot of stuff. But contrary to popular belief, we don't have to lift heavy weights and do really strenuous things in order to get that done. We can do it in a matter of 15 to 20 minutes, and we can do it in a very low-impact manner. And so if you have listeners that are interested in a very customized and specific program to meet their needs, all they need to do is either give us a call or stop by over there, and either myself or one of my trained staff members can take them through and give them a personalized guided tour and answer specific questions about whether it's a shoulder or a knee or a hip or a back, or that they're more concerned about, or more of a total body program.
Let me ask you this, Nick. Now, you said you're celebrating your first year-long anniversary. What have you learned about the public coming to Elite Fitness? Are most of the people, are they the seniors? Are they mostly the younger millennials, the executive type? I mean, what are you finding as far as the people that are really dedicated to working out and keeping fit?
You know, we've learned a lot in the last year. You know, it's something that was new to me in terms of a regular fitness facility. I've been in healthcare for a better part of my life, but something like this where it's open to the public, and we have learned a lot. We have a very diverse crowd over there. We try to cater to certain groups if we can. Me doing what I do and being involved in healthcare and seeing a lot of older folks, Medicare recipients, and 55 and plus. Here at my outpatient orthopedic office over here, we do gear a lot toward our senior members to make sure that, because I deal with a lot of the after effects from falls and things like that, strokes and what I have a lot of experience in. So we do cater a lot to our senior folks. But surprisingly, we have kind of A to Z. Our early morning crowd, we have a lot of, like you say, millennials that come in before work and get their workouts in at 5 or 6 in the morning and then get to work. And then during the day, where we have a lot of our retired folks come in between, let's say 9 and 2 o'clock, when it's a little less busy. And, of course, now even with COVID concerns, they like to come when it's not quite as busy. And then in the evening is when we see all of our group fitness participants, particularly a lot of our young to middle-aged moms that want to come in and maybe do a yoga class or do a spin class or something. We have daycare available for them, and so we've really tried to up our ante there to allow for a little more flexibility with those class schedules. And I tell you what, we have a crazy good amount of feedback from folks that come in and just say, you know what we love about this gym in particular is that it's not intimidating. It's not all the giant guys running around throwing big weights around, and it's not all of the little petite moms coming in and flexing in the mirror and strutting around. And we just have a really good hometown, comfortable atmosphere, and folks come in and they don't feel like they have to be in awesome shape to at least walk in the door. They come in, ask questions, and they have no problem signing up for a class that maybe they normally wouldn't. And so we're excited to kind of get that feedback, to know that people are really comfortable coming in, and that there's no judgment and no shame in coming in and just getting started. And that's the hardest thing, and we've talked about this before. The hardest thing is to just get started. Just walk in the door, ask some questions, and find something that suits you and just get started. And 90% of the time when people do that, they keep coming.
Nick, let me ask you one final thought here. I've only got about 30, 45 seconds left. I had a call last week, and people were asking me, well, how many times a week should we dedicate to working out at Elite Fitness?
A good rule of thumb is usually 30 to 45 minutes 3 times a week in order to just maintain, whether it's a cardiovascular thing that you're looking for or just like you say, joint lubrication. 30 to 45 minutes 3 times a week is usually a pretty good rule of thumb. Daily for a shorter amount of time is obviously better. Consistency is our friend. But if you're looking for a specific number, usually it's 3 times a week to maintain something and not lose it.
There you go. There you go. The man with the answers, the guru of fitness, Nick Greenwell at Elite Fitness, 1200 Oakley Avenue in Burley, and also Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. My friend, take care of yourself, and thank you for being on the program this morning.
Absolutely. I appreciate the call, and take care.
All right, my friend. Nick Greenwell, I've got a lot of respect for that man and what he does and the services they provide at both Elite Fitness and Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Wow, let me see what else. I got to tell you this, the Bennett Boys Auction Service. I want to remind you about this. They're going to have a sale this Saturday. Yep. They're going to have one at 11 o'clock Saturday, October 17th, and it's the Pat Pigeon estate sale, and it's going to be over in Buell, Idaho, 1533 East, 4250 North. It's the Applegate Retirement Estates off Clear Lakes Road. Lunch by the Cook Shack, and don't forget, too, they're going to have trailers, like a flatbed tandem axle trailer, generators, and all kinds of furniture, like leather recliners. They're going to have lawn and garden items. They're going to have a complete patio set, antiques, collectibles, all of this and more at the Pat Pigeon Estate Sale coming up this Saturday, the 17th at 11 a.m. over in Buell. Look for the signs, and don't forget, it's managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. Yep, you betcha, the Bennett Boys, they sell them all. And right now, I'm going to go to the phone line, and we've got our next guest, I believe, ready to come on the program. He is the author of Personality Wins: Who Will Take the White House and How We Know. Merrick Rosenberg, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Nice to have you on the program, and I guess I'm going to ask you right up front. Personality wins? Well, then how in the heck did we get the presidents in the past that we've had?
That's a great question. Well, I'll give you a speed version, the crash course, and I'll show you how personality wins, and it wins all the time. So if you think about how personality plays out, I tried to make it easy. So I've linked personalities to 4 birds, so we can create something a little visual here. So if you picture an eagle, eagles are confident, they are assertive, they are direct, take charge. Someone like a Donald Trump is a great example of that. Then you picture, by contrast, the dove. Doves, very soft-spoken, more reserved, very empathetic. Somebody like a Jimmy Carter has had that style, and Eisenhower. How about someone like an owl? Is logical and analytical, more reserved, more measured, kind of business-like. Mike Pence has that style. George W. Bush has that style. And the parrot, exuberant energy, charisma, somebody like a Ronald Reagan or a JFK or Bill Clinton. And what's fascinating is that when you go back in time, these big personalities of the eagle confidence and the parrot charisma, they beat those more reserved styles every time. In fact, they've done it for 22 straight elections.
Wow.
The only time we get that more reserved, quieter style, such as the dove or owl, is when they're going against other doves or owls. So eagles and parrots, big energy, wins on a big stage, and there's really no bigger stage than a presidential election.
What about the buzzard for Joe Biden?
I think people want me to add a lot of new birds. The vulture is another one I think people have wanted me to add over the years.
No, seriously, let's talk personality here, and especially in this election, Merrick, because a lot of people don't like Trump. A lot of people don't like his mannerisms. A lot of people don't like his personality. A lot of people don't like his approach and the way he talks and is on Twitter, etc. But he's an outgoing, very gregarious personality that wants to remain out in front, but he follows up with what he says he's going to do, and he does it. How would you respond?
So if you look at Trump's style, he's the eagle, and eagles win. In fact, no incumbent eagle has ever lost a presidential election, ever, since 1789. I mean, literally, eagles don't lose when they're in the presidency. But what happens is, when you dial up eagle energy, you take your greatest asset and you make it a liability. Trump's greatest asset is his personality. It's why he beat Hillary, who was an owl, in the last election. He's got that energy, he's got that charisma. But when you take directness and dial it up, it can be abrasive. You take confidence and dial it up, it could be arrogance or narcissism. And when you take your personality and you bring it to an extreme, what was once your greatest strength that probably drove your success now can offend people and push them away. What allowed him to win in the last election is his personality, but if he loses this time, it will be because of his personality.
But when you look at the overall picture of, let's say, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as their team and running mates for each other on the Democratic ticket, and then look over at Mike Pence and, of course, Donald Trump, what do you see overall from a total party projection to the American public?
Well, what happens is that presidents tend to pick a vice presidential candidate who complements them.
Mm-hmm.
You look at somebody like a Bill Clinton, he's that gregarious parrot. He takes Al Gore, much more measured. You take somebody like Ronald Reagan, big charisma, parrot style. He takes George H.W. Bush, more calm and measured. You take someone like a Donald Trump, big personality. You take Mike Pence, who's more owl, dove. It's the exact opposite personality. You take someone like a Joe Biden. He's always had that parrot. He's had that big smile, a lot of energy and charisma, with a secondary dove, that empathy. But in this election, it's as if they're focusing on the empathetic part of his personality. Even his ads talk about empathy. The Democratic Convention talked about empathy. I think they're trying to show that empathy gap between Trump and Biden. And what did he do? He picks a VP candidate who has some more eagle, because he doesn't. And Kamala has more of that eagle with some parrot as well. So that's what happens when you get a ticket. They try to balance it out from a personality perspective. Look, all the data says VPs don't tend to get you a demographic. They don't even tend to pick you up a state or a region. So why do you pick them? You pick them because they balance the energy and what that party projects, and they've both done it. They both picked somebody very different from their own personality.
As it stands right now, with less than 3 weeks before the election, and I'm not asking you to pick a winner or a loser, but when you look at the polls, which I don't believe in, and I'm looking at the same circumstances as what happened to us in 2016, we started looking and listening and believing in the polls, and everybody had egg on their face. What are you looking at overall going into the election on November 3rd?
Well, when you look at how people make their choice, it's clear that there are people at both ends of the continuum, and they're only going to vote for their party. If you're solidly on the red team, you're voting for Trump. It doesn't matter what he says. It doesn't matter what Biden says. And the reverse is true as well. If you're a lifelong, more extreme Democrat, you're voting for the blue team. You're voting for Biden. But those people in the middle, and that's where these polls are really important. When you look at those swing voters, it's those people that tend to vote for personality. And when you watch debate and then afterwards, you ever watch the debate and then afterwards the network will have on the undecideds. These are the people who haven't made a decision yet. And they're asking, well, what did you see? You notice they don't really talk about policy. They don't talk about platform or ideology. They're always talking about the personality, how they showed up, what they felt from them. And those voters are going to decide the election. And those voters are deciding based on personality. So when we look at these polls, I would love to look at those undecideds and see what they think about these candidates, because those people really do look at personality, and they're the ones who are going to make the decision.
Let me ask you this, Marek. I mean, were you laying out on the lawn one summer day looking up at the clouds and the birds and the trees and come up with this schematic about birds relating to politicians? How'd you come up with this?
Well, I've worked with more than 100,000 people. I teach people how to step into the power of their personality. So my company, Take Flight Learning, that's what we do. We go into corporations. I work with CEOs. I work with people and teach them how to use their personality. And I use these 4 birds. But I was thinking about the candidates, and I was saying, I wonder if big personalities really do win in presidential elections. And so I started working the model backwards, and I couldn't believe that it made it all the way back to 1932. That every time, I mean, the only time those doves and owls win is if they're going against a dove or an owl. I mean, you take a Carter. Carter's the dove. Okay, he beat Ford. Ford was a dove. The dove was winning that one. But then you put him against Reagan, and we see what happened. Same thing happened to George H.W. Bush. Okay, he's an owl. Well, he won going against Dukakis, another owl. Put him against Bill Clinton, that charisma and energy, and we know what happened. And so it was fascinating. I was not expecting it to go back 22 elections. in a row, but it does. Those big personalities win.
You look at this election, and I'm an old man. I'm 72 years old, and I will tell you that never in my lifetime, if interviewed, would I have ever said that I thought a candidate could do any good while staying in his basement, staying away from the public, staying away from interviews, staying away from TV cameras, and then the stupid polls show that he's, in some cases, double-digit lead. This doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it does if you look at why is he doing that. You've got Biden, who historically has always been the parrot. Now, parrots have a very thin filter between speaking and thinking, and they make verbal gaffes. It's a tendency of parrots to do that, and Biden has done that his entire career. This is not new for him. There's a great list of all the things Biden has made verbal gaffes on, and you say, oh, my God, what was he thinking? And I think doing is they're saying, look, when Biden gets into parrot mode, he gets all that energy going, he starts talking faster, and he makes mistakes. And I think that very consciously they are saying, you know what? If Trump is going to be out there and be in eagle mode, and he's going to say things that are going to maybe offend some of the other candidates, and if Biden is going to do the same thing as a parrot, let's not let Biden do that. Let's not give them any ammo. Let's let Biden just be the dove and just make sure that he's very scripted, that he can use the teleprompter as much as he can. Let's make sure that he isn't getting into that energetic parrot mode in front of a big audience, and he won't make mistakes, and it won't give a target for that eagle to attack, because that's what eagles do. They attack. We saw it during the debate, and I think they were very consciously saying, don't give them ammo or a target, and let him stay in dove mode and let them just be empathetic. I think it was a very conscious strategy. But you're right, it's hard to imagine that staying in the basement could win. But in this case, I think it was their strategy. They don't want him to make any verbal mistakes.
But don't you think, though, Merrick, and maybe I'm getting off the rails here a little bit, so help me, but don't you think that the media, the general media, the ABCs, CBSs, NBCs, CNNs, etc., have led America down a dark hole of not providing all the information about the candidates and not really giving us all the bad and the good about each person so we can formulate our own opinion? It's very selective today.
Well, if you look at what happens with the media is the reason that eagles and parrots win. In fact, when you go back prior to 1932, owls and doves won all the time. The first 5 presidents were all owls. The 6 presidents leading up to the Civil War were all doves. And they routinely beat eagles and parrots. And if you think about, why did the model flip? Why prior to 1932 do the owls and doves win all the time? And you look at where did people get their information? They got it from the print media. And owls and doves sound caring and logical and thoughtful in the print media. Today, we're getting our information from the visual media, from radio, from podcasts, from television. And, it's very hard to provide your entire plan if you're an owl when you're tweeting something out or you get a little soundbite or a snippet. And so I think the media are doing what they do. They're showing sound bites. They're showing little moments in time. And that favors eagles and parrots who don't tend to provide a ton of detail. That's what they do. They speak in big picture terms. They don't provide the detail, and therefore there's not as much to even target or attack.
You, of course, have been studying, I'm sure, what's been going on with the Bidens, both Hunter and Joe, and Burisma, and a whole bunch of money coming from Burisma and lining the Wrangler jeans of Hunter Biden to the tune of $83,000 per month. What is the story in your thoughts? I mean, we're looking at this thing right now, 3 weeks before the election. I believe it's an October surprise that's going to blacken the eye of Joe Biden. What are your thoughts?
You think that all of these things, whether it's integrity or character or honesty, really make a difference. But do they? I mean, look, we elected a president whose nickname was Tricky Dick. We elected another one whose nickname was Slick Willie. And here's one Democrat, one Republican. It doesn't matter. It's almost like when we talk about integrity, if you were dating someone, if one of our listeners out here was dating someone, and I said to you, hey, you know what, I've been keeping track, and they're truthful about 80% of the time. They have integrity about 80% of the time. 20%, horrible. I mean, you can't trust the word they say. You would never marry that person in your personal life. But in presidential elections, we say, all politicians are crooked. They all lie sometimes, and we give them a pass. And that's true on both sides of both parties, is that we just don't consider integrity and honesty. It's just not as much of the equation as we would think it should be. It really matters in our personal lives, but it doesn't matter so much in the public life, and that's why people just often ignore it. They just don't even pay attention to those stories because they say, that happens all the time in politics, and they just let it go.
I'd like to really have you break down your thoughts on a woman that absolutely, I find her grating on my soul every time I see or hear her on television or read about her in the newspaper, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Hillary Clinton, the woman that won't go away and won't go to the rocking chair. What about her in politics? What kind of a flock of birds is she?
In many ways, she's very similar to what we watched happen this time with Elizabeth Warren. She has such a strong owl style. And here's what happened last time in the last election in 2016. You have Hillary Clinton, who's an owl, and she stays in owl mode. And she stays in that very logical, kind of wonky political policy world. And when you stay in that world, you, in a sense, every political campaign that a presidential candidate has been an owl in recent history, their campaign managers have said the phrase, we needed to humanize our candidate. Listen to this list of people, and she falls into this. We've got Hillary, we've got Bob Dole, we've got Al Gore, Mike Dukakis, we've got, just think about all these people, Mitt Romney, John Kerry. You know what they all have in common? They were all owls. They all focused on policy, and they all got crushed in the presidential election. And she falls into that category, that when you have those folks, they're just not as likable as presidential candidates. Owls in our personal lives, I'm married to an owl, very likable. As presidential candidates, not very likable, and they are very polarizing, and that's what we saw happen in 2016 with Hillary Clinton.
I'm scared to ask this next question because we have never met, we've never talked before, but I'm going to lay myself down on the ground and wait for you to pound the stakes in my hands. What kind of a bird am I?
Well, I'm going to say you are not the dove, okay? So we can start off there. I'm going to guess you probably have some eagle, direct, and probably some parrot in there, too. What do you think?
I can't argue with you. Your synopsis is probably really close. When people buy your book, Personality Wins, Who Will Take the White House and How We Know, what's the last thought you want to leave with them when they read the last chapter and close the cover?
I want people to, one, see themselves in the story, learn about themselves a little bit and the personality style. But I want them to be able to take a step back and pay attention to, are you really voting for the candidate who's in your best interest, or are you voting for personality? Are you just drawn to that charisma and energy? Sometimes we may vote for someone who's not the right person. Look at all. There's been some great owl presidents throughout history. We would have lost all of those if prior to 1932 we didn't vote for owls. Lincoln was a dove, universally considered the greatest president we've ever had by presidential scholars. And I would look people to look at and do a little self-reflection and say, am I really just voting for personality, or am I thinking about what that person is going to do when they're president and how they'll serve this country?
Interesting. This is really fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, the author of Personality Wins, Who Will Take the White House and How We Know. Tell me, please, Merrick, where can they find the book?
They can go to online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, pick it up and get a copy there.
Fascinating interview. I really appreciate it. Merrick Rosenberg. And please come back in the future. You're a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much.
I'd love love to. Thanks for having me.
All right, sir. Thank you. Merrick Rosenberg, author of the book Personality Wins, Who Will Take the White House and How We Know. And he relates it to birds and their personality. It was interesting. I know. You're waiting for the cuckoo clock to come out. No, I'm not going to have that. Let's see. We've got to get to the weather. Yes, we've got to get to the weather. It's cold in here. I don't know what the temperature is outside right now, but it's cold in the studio. Our weather is brought to you this hour by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cache area for well over 50 years. Yes, they have, with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. They are the professionals with offices in Burley and Rupert. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Feels like fall has definitely arrived, and it's going to be a beautiful day. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. A little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 10 miles an hour, looking at a high of 55. Tonight, areas of frost, mostly between 3 and 5 in the morning. Otherwise, mostly clear skies, low of about 31. Tomorrow, as we get ready for the weekend, sunny skies, high of 64 with an overnight low of 42. By Saturday, sunny and mid-60s, pretty much the same for Sunday. That's a look at your weather for us, Evan Durant.
Oh, thank you, Gina. I appreciate it. And the weather, of course, brought to you this hour by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And the very best of people serving you. They can help people starting a business or maybe changing over to a corporation or expanding their business, etc. Please get a hold of them today. They are the professionals serving you. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Wow. I was reading something kind of fascinating this morning early before the program started, and it really was indicative and telling about the change in the election for president this year more so than ever before. Did you know that Joe Biden has had, and I don't know how they tracked this or whatever, but supposedly a computer research firm tracked this and found out that Joe Biden has had 50% fewer media questions than Donald Trump since August 31st. So here we are, right in the main stretch, going to the finish line. And this computer firm found out that Joe Biden has only answered at least 50% or fewer media questions about his platform, about what he'd do as president, etc., than Donald Trump. I could not believe that. And still, without answering any questions, without being held down to his thoughts and beliefs, supposedly the polls are showing that Biden is still ahead. That, to me, is absolutely amazing and very scary about a public that should demand to have more information about who may be the leader of the free world. Wow, that blows my mind. Once again, those town halls are going to be tonight, and I think the starting time for both, they're going to run concurrently, one on ABC with Biden and the other on NBC with President Trump. And if I'm wrong on that, somebody please call and correct me, but that's the information I have here, is that they will run concurrently on those two networks, NBC and ABC. And like I said, it's going to be extremely interesting to watch the one with Biden, with the moderator or the leader of the town hall, George Stephanopoulos, and to see if he's going to bring up at all this big mess, and it is, with Joe Biden's son Hunter and Burisma and everything else. So it's going to be interesting tonight. We may see some yelling and some squirming tonight on television. Got time for a call. Give me a jingle, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And by the way, I understand that President Trump is going to have a rally or multiple rallies every day leading up to the election. Somebody said the other day when I was calling one of the offices back in D.C. that as they close in on November 3rd, he's going to have as many as possibly 5 or 6 event rallies every single day leading up to November 3rd. Whoa! I'll tell you what, that takes a lot of energy. And that's what Donald Trump has shown. A lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, and yet Biden stays at home in the basement, and they shelter this man at about 9:30 in the morning. His day is done. Good morning, you're on the air.
Well, you just say to yourself, how could anybody, after Biden didn't know where he was, he says he's running for the Senate. You know, when you let him run, he'll wreck. And Trump, you know, if they let him run and left him alone, the things he could have accomplished would be amazing. But he's done a ton anyway. So I got to go. It looks like you get the call the other day when he was in Florida. He's trying to do all these, rallies outside. So he was in a hangar, had 41,000 people. They said, this is what the lady said who went to the rally. She said, we were in line at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. to go to a rally at 7 p.m.
Wow.
Now, if that ain't enthusiasm, I don't know what is.
Hey, by the way, before you go, Randy, I want to thank you for your kind words yesterday about one of our great advertisers. Thank you. That was very nice. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Lee's the flooring is great. The guy knows his business.
All right, buddy. Thank you much. Caller, I've got 30 seconds, and I got to run and do a fixed ad. Go ahead, please, quickly.
Well, many politicians that we've got on the Democratic side are like empty barrels. They make a lot of noise, and there's nothing inside. They're not going to win this election.
I hope not. Tony, God bless you, man. I hate to run, but I've got to. Thank you so much.
That's okay.
Want to remind you that if you're hungry and starving to death, I know some great places to go, including the AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley. Oh, boy. They've got the eggnog and the pumpkin shakes right now. Those are dynamite. You're going to love those, along with maybe a Farmer Brown burger or a great order of fries and special sauce. All the kids' meals, they really treat you great with really super food at the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. Well, how about Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley? Pumpkin empanadas. Oh, my goodness, along with street tacos and the breakfast burritos and the pork burritos. Oh, I mean, all the menu choices are absolutely fantabulous at Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. That puts us over to not one but two locations of Burgers Etc., 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. Oh, my goodness, pumpkin shakes, corn dogs, burritos for only $1.29. What are you talking about? That's fantastic. All the menu choices, all the burgers, all the sandwiches, they are great people at Burgers Etc. in Rupert and Burley. Let's not forget what's going on at Steve-O's. Food made the way you love it. At 290 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Tasty, tasty steaks like the fillets and the ribeyes and the sirloins. Oh, my goodness, you better get on in there. And wonderful, wonderful menu choices, great desserts, all of this and more served by friendly people, a very dedicated staff at Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 west of Heyburn. And those are some great places to go if you're hungry and starving to death. I am. We're going to go to the news. I'll be back in 7 minutes. Oh, my grandma would say, ay, 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 ay. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch, hour number 3 on this Thursday, October 15th. And, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations, very safe, clean environment, and, of course, the best in tires. And our thanks also to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, I want to remind you, too, about our friends at 7K Metals. Yes, very important that you realize there's a great way to save money and have a real valuable career for your loved ones in the future. That's right. It's a financial security and great wealth protection and a valued treasure for your loved ones after many years. You can absolutely learn to enjoy and appreciate 7K metals and silver purchases sent right to your home. Absolutely. How do you find out more about 7K metals? You get a hold of Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon at 430-3259. Tell them I told you to call, and they will share with you how you can build your financial security and future with silver purchases from 7K metals. I want to remind you, too, about our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Did you know that they are right now in the middle of the big harvest sale? Wow! No money down, no interest, up to 48 months on approved credit, and they're offering 40% off on all their furniture, mattress, dining room sets, all things right there, the bedroom groups and more. And listen to this, if you thought 40% was a great saving, how about 50% off on the Simmons Beauty Rest mattresses? Well, start the car, head on in to 459 Overland in Burley. Wonderful people serving you. Jeff and the whole crew, very knowledgeable. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland in Burley. Right now it's time for Cache County School Days. And we are ready to go with a lady that is on the program this morning. I believe she is a 5th and 6th grade teacher. Stephanie Long, good morning. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on.
I got to admit, Stephanie, when I saw, and over at the station, Sean, feedback on this call, please. When I read your bio and talked about gifted children with the National Association for Gifted Children, Javits Frazier Teacher Scholarship Program, woo, I thought they got the wrong guy doing the interview with you. You're way above me, Stephanie.
No, I don't think that's true.
Well, tell me a little bit about this program, the NAGC Javits Frazier Scholarships. I mean, with gifted children. This is really intriguing for me. Do we have many, many gifted children that need this special training?
So in our district, we have been working on identifying and testing children to see who would most benefit from gifted services. And we have about 60 kind of on our radar right now.
Oh, my.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but those 60 kids have the needs and the support. And so this program will help provide me with training and bring in experts into our district who can help us make sure we have the best program possible.
What kind of criteria is used or studied or whatever to find out who would be applicable to this program?
So we use a lot of teacher referrals. We have teachers look for kids who are very high achieving, who are very bright, think outside of the box, who need more than just what our standard curriculum is giving them. And then we refer them for testing, and they take what's called a COGAT, which is the Cognitive Abilities Test, and it's kind of like an IQ test. And that helps us see if they are going to be enough above their peers that they would really benefit from an additional program.
But now, what about the teachers like yourself? Do you have to go through special training or special education ceremonies or seminars, I should say? What about the teachers?
So there is not actually a lot of gifted training available, which is one of the reasons I'm so excited for this program. I think that gifted education is underrepresented, and teachers can use all the help and support they can get. One of my jobs as the gifted facilitator for the district is to go and help the teachers with what I've learned through training to help support them in helping these kids.
I have said, and feel free to correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I have said for a long, long time that our education system cannot be one size fits all. You've got your kids in the class that are average. You've got your kids in the class that are trying to catch up and they just have a hard time. And then you have your students that are, boy, they're just chomping on the bit to go further and farther. And those are the students, I think, that are overlooked. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think often we kind of fall into this trap of thinking, well, they understand it, so they'll be fine. But they just have just as much right to learn and be challenged as every other kid. And so I think that this will be a great way to draw attention to them and their needs.
What kind of education? I guess maybe I'm grasping at straws here. I'm not sure how to ask this. But when you find that you have like 60 children that are highly qualified and in the category of gifted, what do you do to develop a curriculum for them?
So our first steps would be to have the teachers work with their grade level teams on their professional learning communities. Our superintendent brought PLCs to our district last year with training, and it's really timely in that teachers can work together in groups because they're familiar with the kids and with the standards and curriculum, and they can work together to find ways to challenge these kids. And then ideally down the road, we could make a program as a district kind of on top of the regular grade level curriculum where kids could be pulled out or pushed in for, more field trips and exciting experiences and ways that'll expose them to more of the world around them.
Let me ask you this, Stephanie. Do you find that there's an animosity somewhat of maybe the parents or maybe other school children or whatever against the gifted students?
There can be at times. I think sometimes they think they're getting to do extra and it's not fair. But I think that one of the most important things to remember is that education is about meeting the needs of the child, and all children have different needs, and this is just one thing that those kids need because in a lot of ways, gifted kids can be as at risk as some of our other populations because they get bored, they drop out of school, they start having destructive behaviors because they're bored. And so it really should be about meeting the needs of the child.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you on an individualistic basis, right?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
In the bio sheet that was sent to me, it said something about District GATE, G-A-T-E, facilitator. You lost me on that one. I have no clue what we're talking about.
So GATE stands for Gifted and Talented Education, and so I'm the district's facilitator, and I work with our Special Services Director, Ludine Henderson, to identify and test students, but then also to provide resources and support for teachers in their PLC teams as we begin this process of trying to make sure we're meeting the kids' needs.
Well, do the teachers like yourself, you evidently are a very, very sharp lady and have been chosen as one of the teachers for this program. What about other teachers? What kind of criteria do they have to apply for or achieve before they can get involved?
So one of the things we're always encouraging is professional development, and we're trying to bring more opportunities for that in our district. CAJA does a fantastic job of offering before-school trainings where teachers can go to mini classes and learn more. There are many professional conferences that we're trying to get the word out for teachers to go and learn more. And then through this program, the Scholar Program, we'll be bringing an experienced mentor teacher into our district, and they'll be able to bring so much expertise and help us better equip our teachers.
I've got a call coming in, and we'll take that call with a question for you, Stephanie. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Please go ahead.
Yes, Zeb, I forgot to do something very important. I forgot to wish you and your bride a happy anniversary today.
It's not my anniversary today. It's coming up in about 3 or 4 weeks, Jerry, and I'm in the middle of this interview. I do appreciate your sentiment, but call back on the 12th of November.
Oh, I'm a month ahead.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Stephanie Long is on the program with us right now, and I've got a picture in my mind's eye, and tell me how wrong this is, that when all these teachers get together that are the highly qualified teachers of gifted students, you get in a great big room and you kind of look at each other and come up with contemplative answers and questions like, why is there air? Is that a basic synopsis of what you do, or what happens? Is she there? Stephanie Long?
I think my call dropped out. Can you repeat the question?
Yes, I was making light of the situation that I would imagine that teachers that are highly qualified teachers for gifted students, when you all get together, do you kind of sit in a big room and try to come up with and answer all the questions and the problems with the world? I mean, what goes on when you get together at a convention like this?
So it's great because we address many aspects of gifted needs, such as kids' like social and emotional health, how to keep them engaged and working in school, and a lot of it is actually figuring out how to enable the kids to solve the world's problems. Because these kids are bright and brilliant, and they are really the future leaders of our world. So how do we help keep them on the right track so that they can help fix some of the mess that we've created?
What are some of the age brackets? Are what, 5th and 6th graders primarily?
So we, as a district, are working on identifying kids 2nd through 6th grade.
I see.
And then that designation follows them throughout junior high and high school so that we can make sure we're continuing to provide those services.
Have you ever had a wow moment when some question was posed in front of one of these students and they gave you an answer and it just kind of rocked you back because they really knew what was going on? Give us a wow moment if you had one.
Oh, I've had so many. I've worked with gifted kids for several years. I can't think of one specifically, but I think the thing that really blows me away about these kids is they just think about the world differently. And they cut through a lot of, the extra stuff, and they really dig into the heart of the problem. And it just amazes me that someone who, is 10 years old is so much more wise and thoughtful in a lot of ways than some adults.
An example of that would be what? I mean, as far as the problem is concerned with the economy or with our national security, or give us an example of what you're talking about.
So I went to a conference where a teacher was presenting about a program she runs with her students, for example, and they were developing an app. The assignment was to develop an app that would be useful. And these boys were junior high-aged boys, and they wanted to create an app where you would use your GPS, and it would show, like, rest stops in the area. But it would give them with a safety rating because the app would tie into crime statistics and other information released by the police so that when you're traveling, you could open this app, and it would tell you where is safe to stop, and then it would kind of rank some of the issues in the areas. So that's pretty impressive as a way to benefit humanity and make everyone safer.
Holy cow, my goodness. Stephanie Long, 5th and 6th grade teacher. I am absolutely impressed with the National Association for Gifted Children Javits Fraser Teachers Scholar Program. I hope you'll come back in the future if you don't mind talking to a simple, plain, dumb old cowboy.
Well, thank you. I'd love to come back sometime.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie Long. Woo! For a program for the gifted children. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I wish I had more time. We'll talk to her more about that in the future. And I want to thank Debbie Critchfield. She lines up all these different interviews and guests for Cassia County School Days. And along with all of her other duties and chores, I mean, my goodness sakes, I know that we're a burden to her sometime getting all this lined up, but she is excellent. Cassia County School Communications Officer Debbie Critchfield, thank you for all the information that you provided for us. We really appreciate it. Let's see, what else have I got to do real quick that I'm behind on that I got to catch up? I want to remind you about Edith's Cafe. Yes, I do. Edith's Cafe absolutely is excellent. If you haven't eaten there, I urge you to do so. And where are they located? I'll tell you. Right across from the golf course, 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Now, they're open Tuesday through Thursday, 11 to 8, and then on Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 9, and they do catering. They got a great big old dining room, and from sandwiches all the way to steaks, they've got the very, very best to serve you. I urge you to call your friends and neighbors and get on in to Edith's Cafe at 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. Don't forget, the number to call if you want catering services, 878-2248. Right now, we're going to go back to the phone line, and we have one of our advertisers on the program that has just changed a little bit about what they offer to the general public, and I believe we have Curtis on the program from Patterson's Electronics. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
I tell you what, I'm doing great, and I understand along with everything electronic, whether it's home theater systems or video surveillance cameras, sound systems, all the cables and the power cords, everything else, now over at Patterson's, you're also incorporating dehydrated food for the public. Tell us about that.
Well, I was shocked this past few months when you go to the stores and there's no food on the shelves, and didn't want to be in that situation going forward, and thought, let's help people out so that they don't get in that predicament. And so we partnered with a company to offer freeze-dried food that has a 25-year shelf life, so you don't have to worry about taking advantage of some sales and then, darn it, having to throw the food away because the date's expired, 6 months or a year or two later. As long as the temperature stays between 50 and 70 degrees, the food will last 25 years, including the water. Now, I have 3 55-gallon containers in my basement, but unfortunately, they're too big to move. I can't use them, and darn it, I guess I just wasted my time on them. I'm a little frustrated. My wife bought, and I bought a bunch of food, and unfortunately, because the expiration dates had passed, we threw out hundreds of pounds of food, and yet the food that I bought that's got the 25-year life expectancy on it, I'm gradually working through so I can gradually take advantage of them. One of the things that we brought in is we have high-protein containers, 72-hour kits, blood clot powder, gluten-free products, soups, traveler stew, just a cornucopia of different items for people to try. And nothing's worse than buying something and then tasting it when you do use it and finding out that, gosh, I just didn't like that. So to help people, what we're doing is every other Saturday, so this Saturday from 10 until noon, we're going to be doing a tasting. Now, this week we'll probably be doing mac and cheese, and the previous weeks we've done different other things. But it works out pretty darn good, so people can taste the product, make sure that they like it, and it's going to work for them. Now, along with that, because everybody's looking for a deal, and we want to help families because we live in uncertain times. We want to help families prepare for the unseen events that may come in the future, again, as they have in the recent past. And so we're doing a 10% on $300 purchase, 15% on $600 purchase or more if it's on one ticket. Now, the idea here is to get families to pool their resources and come together so that it's a family that's getting prepared, not just an individual. It's great if individuals are. I want to help families. Christmas is coming. Maybe families might consider the practical gift of food storage. And, no one wants to, anyway, so nobody wants to spend a ton of money at one time. At least I don't have it to spend. But, if we can pull families' funds together and then spend the money, that's the idea. And like I say, save them 10 to 15% on their purchase.
Curtis,
can you imagine having water
last 25 years, Zeb.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's amazing to me. And you know, it's not a doomsday outlook at all. What it is a very conscientious effort to prepare if the electrical grid goes down or whatever happens, a huge snowstorm to where people can't communicate or go to the grocery store or whatever. This product would absolutely fill the bill.
You bet. That's the idea. And we want to make sure that it's a positive experience for people all the way around. And so by having a variety of food, variety of opportunities for them to save money and work together with other family members, we just thought we were kind of, again, we want to help families. I can't be more sincere when I say that.
Curtis, let me ask you this question before I run out of time. I'm assuming that these dehydrated foods in various flavors and a sundry of articles, etc., are fairly easy to put together and heat up and eat, right?
You know, you just add water in most cases.
Oh, my.
And, and then you could heat it up. Now, with some of them, like the chocolate pudding, that won't be something that you want to heat up. I like my pudding cool.
Yes.
And the orange energy drink, that's something that I'd probably want to, drink cold. But the traveler stew, the chicken-flavored noodle soup, the home-style potato soup, black bean burger, different things like that, you're going to want to heat up. And again, just simply add water, and you're good to go.
Now, do they come in like little kits or buckets of various and sundry items, or how is it sold?
So we've got it in a couple different options. One is it comes in individual packets that are in boxes, or like the 72-hour kits, you get a number of different things in one plastic bag that covers everything, okay? And then there are some number 10 cans that have food in it, so people that have a little bit larger families can draw from those, as well as those that have, maybe the kids have gone or something like that. You can draw from a packet and then,
right.
Just heat up an individual packet instead of having a great big thing that you're pulling from.
Absolutely.
So we've got, like I say, there's scrambled eggs, maple oatmeal, banana chips, strawberries, blueberries, just all kinds of things.
Boy, you got me hungry. It sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Curtis over at Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. And the number to call, and write this down, call them if you have questions about this new addition to their business, dehydrated food, and the number is 678-6997. Curtis, always a pleasure to have you on the program, and best wishes on this new venture. God bless you, man.
Thank you, Zeb. Thanks for calling, and have an awesome day.
All right, sir. Thank you. You too. I got to get in there and check that out. It looks like it really all of us need to be prepared for whatever happens in the future. And this is a great way to start right there at Patterson's Electronics. They've got that new addition to their business of dehydrated food. Right now, we are about ready to send this back over to our main studios. And they've got a break at the bottom of the hour, and then we'll be on the air with the governor of the state of Idaho, Governor Brad Little, so you stay tuned.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to our last half hour. And we are, I think, anticipating a call from the governor's office. He's on the line. Ladies and gentlemen, glad to have him with us this morning and share with us a lot more of the information of what's going on in the Gem State. Our governor, Brad Little. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Well, I would imagine that you've taken a little time to put your spurs on, get on a horse, and go gather the cows, get them off the hill before winter, right?
Well, actually, this weekend it was great. Our sons and we shipped and worked some cattle, and it was nice to be back in their corrals and the alleys and with the horses and and it was and we got done right before it just started pouring rain. So and it was nice to see the rain too.
Governor, I'd like to start our conversation off this morning, and first of all, thanking you for your time to come back on the program. But where are we as a state right now, whether it's Idaho Falls, Coeur d'Alene, Boise, or down here in the Twin Falls, Burley area? Where are we on the COVID-19 and what needs to be done and or what's being done?
Well, I've got a press conference at 1 today, and I just met with my healthcare and epidemiological team this morning, and it's like it's been all along. It's varied. Madison County is just having a huge spike in numbers. Matter of fact, I think the New York Times even has Madison County as one of the hottest of the hot spots in the whole United States. We've got other areas that are better. Magic Valley, where you and your listeners are, has continued to kind of go up and down, and we'd love to see the numbers be lower there. We've got other areas where they're not a problem, and that's why, we just keep defaulting to state law, how it's defined under our Constitution as state law, that the local school board, the local health district, the mayors are in charge. So ever since the initial 2 or 3 stages, we've just been complying totally with state law.
Governor, have you ever, since this COVID problem started back in March, have you ever sat back and just really started to analyze the do's, the don'ts, the changes in procedures, the changes in perceptions about COVID? Wear a mask, don't wear a mask, social distancing. It seems like every time you turn around, there's a new and or changed procedure. Would you agree with what I just said?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I may talk about that today. Even the tests, I think 2 weeks ago we talked about the new tests that were there and what the claims were, how that testing was going to help, and now how it really works. Testing, how we treat it, what the best practices are, face coverings. The constant has been hygiene and distancing, and more recently, the face coverings, the treatments, the tests, that just continues to evolve every day.
Well, I know I've got a report right here from the CDC, and they admitted that 85% of the COVID infected always wear a mask or often wear a mask. Many of them still got sick. So, I'm wondering about the quality of the mask. I'm wondering about the bacteria buildup on the mask. And I think, honestly, even though we're at October, and we've looked back since March and listened to Fauci, and we've listened to Dr. Birx and others on a national level, I sometimes wonder if they know what they're talking about.
Well, I had heard about that, and then I saw that report, and if you get to the back of that whole report, that those people that got infected were in restaurants where they obviously didn't have their masks on when they were eating, and one of the things that we are learning is it's the amount of time you're there. There was a report that just came out this morning that I asked our crew to look at, that you can be wearing a face covering on an airplane, you can be protected by 99%. That sounded high to me. And of course, they asked the question of those medical grade masks or other masks. And so we're looking into that. But that particular report that you're referring to, Zeb, it was, when you got to the end of it, these were people that were in restaurants. Well, they obviously didn't have their face covering on when they were in restaurants. The question is, do you wear a mask? People say yes, but then it's where they go. And what we're finding is that it's not going to the store, it's not kids in school, it's not these other, it's when people are in their small family events, that's where we're really having the problem. That's where the people kind of let their guard down, and they're there for extended length of time with somebody that's either mildly symptomatic or asymptomatic, and they're doing the spread, and that's where our problems are coming from.
Now, I'm going to say this, Governor, and it's strictly on my own personal level. I'm not equating this to anyone else. But a mask, if I wear it for very long or a long period of time with the inhalation of the stale air, etc., boy, it's not good for me because I do have a heart condition. So I think a mask mandate for people would be a little bit frivolous and dangerous. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, there are some complications from it, but I mean, look at the people in the healthcare field who wear masks literally all day, every day, and you know they're experts there. I think some of the masks that somebody gives you or you get somewhere may not be as good as other ones, but if masks were a problem, they wouldn't be as widely adopted for literally 100 years in the healthcare field.
What about lockdowns? I'm sure that you probably, and I know you have because we've talked about it in the past, you've taken a lot of heat over lockdowns, shutdowns, whatever you want to call it. There has been thousands upon thousands of medical practitioners that have signed what's called the Great Barrington Declaration, along with health scientists, that said, no, never again, no more lockdowns, because they caused more trouble, more trauma than what they were worth. Would you agree with that?
Well, we know that the risks, and you got to remember that when we did everybody, every state, every community, the whole country did it, we were concerned about healthcare capacity. We didn't have N95 masks. We didn't have ventilators. We didn't have some of the technology, and we darn sure didn't have the treatments we've got. That was why we did what we did at the very beginning, that everybody did. Even the states that said they didn't have any kind of a stay-home order basically had a stay-home order from one way or another, and almost all countries were the same place. Now we've got healthcare capacity, and so it's just a whole different scenario than it was originally.
Governor, just recently in the local Times News, there was a story that was pertaining to you and COVID, and the headline read, "Little, pandemic changing forever. How residents live and work." Do you really mean that this COVID-19 is going to change our structure, our beliefs, and our communication forever?
Oh, Zeb, you don't believe everything you read in the newspaper, do you?
I don't believe anything the Times News prints, and that's why I'm asking you straight up.
What I was talking about, it was in the context of how we deliver telehealth, how we work, how we commute, how we teach. There are a lot of things that, the deployment of broadband. Rural Idaho is going to have, I was just in a meeting just 10 minutes ago where we're all total, with the federal money, with private money, we're putting hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars into broadband, particularly in rural Idaho. Idaho has never been famous for having lots of healthcare capacity. The advent of telehealth and delivering telehealth is going to change Idaho forever, and it's really going to take part of rural Idaho and make it more competitive with the rest of the world.
Let me ask you this, and caller, stand by. I'll get your call on in just a moment. We're looking at the winter months, fall, of course, with the heavy saturation of colds and more flu, viruses, strains coming in, and now also COVID. What are your basic concerns by having kind of a triple whammy for people to get sick this winter and fall, and what it's going to do to the healthcare system in the state of Idaho?
Well, this afternoon I'm having my 29th press conference on this issue, and that's what we've been talking about for the last 3 months, is kids back in school, people going inside, on top of the flu season and the holiday season. You're exactly right, Zeb. If we had a risk before, remember the big spike in Arizona this summer was when the temperatures got over 100 and everybody went inside instead of being outside. And we know that the risk inside is way higher than it is outside. So, yes, I'm very worried about it.
We have a caller with a question, and caller, I'm going to limit you to... They hung up. All right. Well, that's fine. Governor, is there anything about COVID or the possible shutdown stage 4, whatever the case might be, that you would like to elaborate before I go to another subject?
Well, I would rather have... People need to be aware, and people need to be personally responsible for their health and the health of their loved ones and their businesses and their kids in school. But people need to look at where we are in Idaho. We're leading all the states in economic recovery. There's only 2 states that have a better employment rate. We're leading all the states in the solvency of our budget and economic prosperity. I had a call with lots of ag people from all over the state this morning about what we need in agriculture going forward. There's the malaise around COVID. People should not forget all the good things that are happening, particularly relative to everybody else in the United States and in the world.
How in the world, with the COVID and the shutdowns and the people worrying about keeping their business and their doors open, how did Idaho's tax revenue go up 10% this year?
Well, we know part of it is because of the benefits, but we don't think it's a big part of it, are the benefits that the federal government sent out. That is part of it. But every state was a beneficiary of that. But I think it's just because we've continued to diversify the economy, because we had a staged opening that we went through pretty rapidly because our numbers were good. There was pent-up demand that was out there. We didn't shut down things that were shut down in most states. Car dealerships, repairs, the construction industry, real estate, many industries in Idaho that were shut down in other states were open here, and then people wanted to come to Idaho. It was safer, and it was a better environment to be productive.
You bring up a good point, and then we'll take a call, but Governor, really, how bad off was the tourism industry this year compared to years past?
I just got our numbers, and I mean this information is less than 10 minutes old. Our numbers are off about statewide, which is receipts from hotels and motels, are off about 17%. We forecast 40%.
Oh my.
Now there's certain areas where it's great. The hotels on this side of Yellowstone, because all the hotels in Yellowstone were closed down, had record receipts. But the hospitality industry is off, and there's some of them that have been hurt a lot more than others. But our anticipated reduction in revenue from the hospitality industry is much better than we ever anticipated.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Caller, I'm going to limit you to 30 seconds. We are short on time. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, do you have any numbers on how many bankrupt bars, restaurants, beauty salons are going to... Do you have any idea how many we're going to lose and how many owners are going to bankrupt? And then when you have a school district like Cassia County or Twin Falls County that is open, and then you have West Ada where they're trying to implement things on people that the parents don't want, I mean, what is the difference between Twin Falls and Boise? Seriously. I'll hang up.
Respond, please, Governor.
They got a lot of questions in 30 seconds. First off, there were all kinds of programs that are available, and I don't know of hardly any people in the salon business. They all had a temporary close down, but there were PPP loans. I had small business grants. I had rebound grants. They're all open now if they want to be open. The bars and restaurants can all be open. Idaho was unlike almost any other state. A lot of them said you can be open, but only at 50% or 25% of capacity. You can't make money. I've never owned a restaurant or a bar, but you can't make money at 25% of capacity. So I either wanted them closed and getting the benefits that were available, or open and able to compete. Restaurants and bars, by their very nature, particularly startups, have a high mortality rate. It's a very competitive industry. But they can all be open in Idaho now, unless they're in an area where the mayor or the health district has closed them down. School districts, every school district in Idaho was either open full for in-person classes or on a rotation. But not only are school districts different, school buildings are different. Some of them just don't facilitate that distancing and that good hygiene, but we are seeing very little spread in school districts. What the concern is in some of these districts is they've got a lot of older teachers that they've got to give them more protection to protect the staff rather than the students.
Governor, overall, are you satisfied and happy with the return to school atmosphere, not only in the classroom, but also with the sports activities, etc.? Are you happy and satisfied with the net result of how safe it's really been for the students?
Overall, generally, but, by law, by state law, the authority on those schools belongs to the school board in consultation with the health districts. So just like everything else, we default to the existing law in Idaho. Could it have been better? Absolutely. But I tell you, they've done a lot of work. We started looking at this clear last April and May, and there's been a lot of work. And I've been in, I think, probably 20 schools since school started, and they all, and quite a few of them in the Magic Valley, and they all don't look alike. But given the tough hand they got, given the challenges, my heart goes out to the students, to the parents, and to the teachers that have just had a huge increase in their workload to cope with the new protocols we've got to have to keep everybody safe.
I've only got 2 minutes left, caller. The same thing. 30 seconds is all I can afford you. Go ahead, please.
Hung up again.
They hung up. All right. Thank you very much. Governor, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you coming on the program. There's a lot of questions that would take more time than what I have left to discuss. So we're going to have to do this all again in about another 2 weeks. But I want to thank Governor Brad Little, the governor of the state of Idaho, for the time this morning. Thank you, sir, and I'll look forward to being with you in the future.
Thanks, Deb. I really appreciate it.
All right, sir. Thank you much. The clock dictates to me what I can and can't do time-wise, and I've got to get some things in right now. So thank you very much to the governor, and talking about COVID primarily, and the schools, etc. So thank you very much for his being on the program. Right now, let's take a look at our weather forecast. And the weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, with our dear friend Don Scarrow and his excellent staff at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website and check out all the delicious meats at scarrowsmeats.com. Oh, boy. We're getting around the holiday season, hams and turkeys, and, of course, all the tri-tips and all the bacons, different flavored bacons. And, of course, don't forget all the sausages, the breakfast sausages, the bratwurst. Oh, my. It's all great. It's all delicious from Scarro's Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Feels like fall has definitely arrived, and it's going to be a beautiful day. We are expecting mostly sunny skies. A little bit of a breeze out of the west at about 10 miles an hour, looking at a high of 55. Tonight, areas of frost, mostly between 3 and 5 in the morning. Otherwise, mostly clear skies, low of about 31. Tomorrow, as we get ready for the weekend, sunny skies, high of 64 with an overnight low of 42. By Saturday, sunny and mid-60s, pretty much the same for Sunday. That's a look at your weather for us, Evan Norton.
Oh, I got to get a hold of Don Scarrow and invite him over to be on the program live. So maybe he'll bring some bratwurst with him. I love their brats. Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Again, that telephone number, 324-7657. And it's true. It's really true. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarrow's Meats. Let's see, what have we got cooking for next Monday, the 19th? I wanted to tell you that we're going to have Rick Manning on the program, and Frosty Woldridge is going to be on the program, and Dr. Gerard Lamero is going to be on the program. And also, a big shout-out and thank you to Deb Hines with the Minidoka Animal Control, and also Wagon Tails Rescue for these dogs. I have had so much response about the various dogs that are over at the animal shelter, Minidoka Animal Control, and people are really showing that they're caring and hoping that they'll provide homes for a lot of these dogs over there at that shelter. Want to remind you, too, about our major sponsor. Hello, Deanne. Just walked in. Our major sponsor of our program, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with absolutely the best in tires, absolutely the best in service. I urge you to stop in, whether you have a car, pickup, SUV, whatever. You be sure and stop in and see each and every one of them today in your location. James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Don't forget they've got excellent on-the-farm service, on the dairy service for your vehicles that need work on their tires. They're there with their big repair trucks. I urge you to get a hold of them today. And don't forget brake service and front-end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. With the cooler temperatures, do not forget, you'd better have your battery checked. If it's not going to do the job, they've got the best in batteries for all vehicles. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see any one of the 7 locations today. It's tire changing time as we get ready for a big change in the seasons at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I'm looking at a note that my wife gave me, and I can't understand what it means, but anyway. Want to urge you, I've got to take a quick run, and I've got to be at a meeting at noon. So, Sean, if I could, I'm probably going to have to run right now and remind everybody the way we wrap up the program, the way things are the way things ought to be, with the 4 words that mean the most to me: in God we trust. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Please drive carefully, enjoy the fall weather, and be back here on Monday at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch.